Imagine spending 10 years climbing a mountain. You finally reach the top. You look around, smile, then immediately walk straight off the other side. Sounds ridiculous, but financially, that's exactly what thousands of people do every year. The day they hit a $100,000 net worth, not because the market crashes, not because they lose their jobs, but because reaching six figures tricks their brain into making decisions that feel completely logical and quietly destroy the next million. Let's compare two people. First, there's Dumb Money Guy. 36 years old, works a regular office job. Nothing glamorous, no six-figure salary, no secret crypto wallet, no rich uncle who just happened to leave him a yacht. After years of saving, skipping upgrades, ignoring every get-rich-quick guru on YouTube, he finally opens his investment account. $100,184. He stares at the screen, then smiles, then, "I'm basically Warren Buffett now." 5 minutes later, he's already on a Lamborghini website. Because apparently, $100,000 means you're legally required to browse cars you'll never buy. Now, meet Hannah, 34, graphic designer. Same net worth, almost the same salary. She checks her account, sees the exact same number, closes the app, and goes back to eating yesterday's leftover pasta. Not because she doesn't enjoy life, but because she understands something Dumb Money Guy doesn't. The first $100,000 isn't the finish line. It's the moment the game finally starts getting interesting. Over the next few months, both of them will make decisions that feel completely reasonable. One of them will quietly build a fortune. The other? Well, let's just say he'll become very familiar with Facebook Marketplace, because somebody has to sell that massage chair he absolutely needed. The scary part? Most people watching this will accidentally become one of them. The next morning, Dumb Money Guy wakes up with a dangerous thought. I've been responsible for years. I deserve to enjoy my money. Now, before you call him irresponsible, be honest. Wouldn't you think the same? You spend years saying no to expensive holidays, no to the newest iPhone, no to random Amazon purchases at 2 a.m. You finally hit six figures. Of course your brain wants a reward. And that's exactly how it starts. Not with a Ferrari, not with a private jet. It starts with, it's only $8. Then, it's just one nice dinner. Then, my sofa has served me well, but I think it's time for retirement. Then, somehow, you're standing in a furniture showroom listening to a salesman explain why a chair costs more than your first car. Dumb Money Guy didn't buy everything in one day. That would have been too obvious. Instead, he upgraded his life one tiny decision at a time. A nicer phone, a bigger TV, a coffee machine that looked like it could launch a satellite. Even his rubbish bin opened automatically, because apparently pressing a lid had become too exhausting. Every purchase felt harmless. None of them looked like a mistake. But together, they quietly stole over $1,000 every single month from his future. Here's the scary part. Lifestyle creep doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't knock on your door wearing a name tag. It sneaks into your life dressed as a reward. And rewards are very difficult to say no to. Meanwhile, Hannah did something that looked incredibly boring. She celebrated. She ordered her favorite takeaway, watched a movie, told herself, "Tomorrow, I go back to doing exactly what got me here." That's it. No new car, no luxury shopping spree, no trying to prove she'd made it. Because Hannah understood something most people never do. The moment you reach $100,000, you're no longer trying to look wealthy. You're trying to become impossible to stop. The biggest mistake people make isn't spending money. It's believing that reaching six figures means they've won. In reality, six figures is just the point where compounding finally starts playing on your team. And if you interrupt it now, you're firing your hardest working employee just as it clocks in. A month later, Dumb Money Guy wasn't shopping anymore. Now he had a different problem. Confidence. Not the healthy kind. The dangerous kind. The kind that makes you watch 3 YouTube videos, read 2 tweets, and suddenly believe you've been chosen by the stock market. One evening, he's scrolling through his phone when a video pops up. Turn $100,000 into $1 million in just 18 months. His eyes light up. Finally! This is the shortcut I've been waiting for. 5 minutes later, he's watching another video. Then another. Before he knows it, he's convinced that boring index funds are for people who don't understand money. He even starts saying things like, "The S&P 500 is too slow." Too slow? The same investment that's quietly made millionaires for decades? Meanwhile, Hannah is doing something far less exciting. Nothing. Literally nothing. She keeps buying the same low-cost index funds every month. No predictions, no market timing, no trying to outsmart people who've been doing this longer than she's been alive. Now, I know what you're thinking. But what if Dumb Money Guy actually picked a winning stock? That's the trap. Sometimes he does. In his first week, one of his stocks jumps 18%. He checks his portfolio every 15 minutes. He's smiling, walking differently, even giving investment advice to his barber. The confidence is unbelievable. Then, reality shows up. The market drops. One stock falls, then another. The same investments that made him feel like a genius start making him feel sick. Every morning begins with the same routine. Wake up, open the app, close the app, open it again, as if looking twice is somehow going to change the numbers. Within a few weeks, a huge chunk of his gains is gone. Not because investing doesn't work, but because gambling disguised itself as investing. Here's something most people don't realize. Your first $100,000 isn't the money you use to get rich quickly. It's the money that gives you the chance to become rich slowly. And slow is incredibly boring. That's why so few people stick with it. Hannah understood something that Dumb Money Guy didn't. You don't build wealth by constantly asking, "How can I make more?" You build wealth by asking, "How can I avoid doing something stupid?" Those are completely different questions. One chases excitement, the other protects the snowball. And when your snowball is finally big enough to roll by itself, the last thing you should do is stand in front of it trying to push it faster, because that's usually when you end up underneath it. Here's the strange part. After watching Dumb Money Guy almost spend his future, then almost gamble it away, you'd think the next mistake would be taking even more risk. It's the opposite. Fear. One morning, the news is screaming, "Markets could crash at any moment." Another headline says, "Experts predict a recession." Dumb Money Guy does what millions of people do. He logs into his account, sells everything, and proudly announces, "I'll buy back in when things calm down." The problem? The market never sends you a text saying, "Hey, it's safe now, you can come back." So he waits. A week becomes a month becomes 6 months. Before he realizes it, the market has already recovered without him. He didn't lose money because he invested. He lost money because he stopped investing. Meanwhile, Hannah sees the exact same headlines. She shrugs, makes herself a cup of coffee, and her automatic investment goes through like it does every month. No panic, no emergency meeting with herself, no pretending she suddenly knows where the market is going next. Because she learned something that changed everything. The stock market doesn't reward the smartest people. It rewards the people who stay. Think about it. If you planted a mango tree, would you dig it up every weekend to check if it's growing? Of course not. You water it, leave it alone, and let time do the hard work. Investing works the same way. The biggest mistake people make after reaching $100,000 is believing they need to start doing more. More trading, more checking, more worrying, more predicting. But once your snowball is rolling, your job changes. You stop pushing it, and you start protecting it. So what should you actually do the moment you hit 6 figures? It's surprisingly simple. Don't celebrate with a purchase you'll regret. Keep your emergency fund separate. Keep buying diversified, low-cost investments. Ignore the daily noise. Increase your investments whenever your income increases. Then, go live your life. Because the wealthiest investors aren't glued to their portfolio every hour. They're busy living. And that's the twist nobody tells you. Reaching $100,000 doesn't mean you've become rich. It means you've finally built something worth protecting. Dumb money guy thought his first 6 figures gave him permission to relax. Hannah understood they gave her a responsibility. Years later, people looked at Hannah and called her lucky. They never saw the hundreds of boring decisions that created that luck. The nights she didn't panic. The months she kept investing. The years she simply refused to interrupt her own progress. So if you ever see 6 figures in your account, don't ask, "What should I buy?" Ask, "How do I make sure this becomes 7 figures?" Because your first $100,000 isn't the finish line. It's the first employee you'll ever have that works 24 hours a day, even while you're asleep. Treat it well. Stay out of its way. And one day, it might earn more money in a year than you do. That's when you realize the goal was never to work for money forever. The goal was to build money that eventually works for you.